All right, so hopefully you've read the lottery. I went over, I think it was Thursday, the pre-reading questions. So I have a video out here that walks you through answering those questions. The vocabulary is always very easy. You just cut and paste, do a Google search. So let's look at the questions. All right, so the first question is, what is, I don't want that. Just trying to find, that's the story itself. But she didn't give me. Ah, here it is. All right, so what tone or mood, and let me just take this. We'll see. I'm going to come back over here. Go to the bottom of this. And I'm going to put the answers for those in the know. So you just have to know that they're sitting out here on the bottom. All right, I don't like the formatting. Let me try this again. Paste. Oh well. Oh well. Okay, so question number 1. What tone or mood does the author establish with the first sentence? So the first sentence is really happy and bright and animated. Um, beautiful weather, it's a lovely day. So it's a very happy mood. So how does the author suggest that the lottery is a typical everyday event? Well, she describes the summer day, the townspeople gathering. Um, there's nothing. Yeah. Oh, you're here. Okay. We're going over the questions in the lottery. So we're on number 2. So there is nothing negative that we see at this point. So how does Jackson is the author, characterize the villagers? What people does she say they are? So it seems to be a farming community. Um, that it's a small town. People don't go far. They talk about tractors, planting, rain, and taxes. And the men and the women seem to follow traditional gender roles, with the women staying home. Mr. Summers is the patriarch of the village, that means head, and the owner of the only business, the coal business. Um, Families are described by the men, not the women. All right. So, what details included? What details about the black box? Um, so it rests on a three-legged stool, and it's been used since before the oldest resident was born. They say that it contains some of the original box. So then we're talking here about the original box. So it hasn't changed in a long, long time. So how long? Oh, you probably figure 80 years. So what are some of the parts of the traditions that they've kept? Um, so much of the ritual has been forgotten or discarded. Um, they still make up lists of all the residents organized by families. Um, they substituted wood chips for pieces of paper. Um, they used to start the lottery off with a chant, but they don't do that anymore. And they used to have a ritual salute, but they don't do that anymore. So I guess modern times. So what does yeah? Yeah, a heat. Welding would be how you would do it. So when you weld something, you actually use a different type of metal that has a low burn rate, so that it melts and can attach one piece of metal to the other piece of metal. Well, you could possibly, but who can hold the lighter for that long? I mean, you use have you seen those like creme brulee torches that they use? Yeah, that's like that. All right, back to the questions. Does old man Warner think about other towns that have given up the lottery? So he thinks it's a sign that people are losing their culture. So listening to young folks. Um, um, he also believes that change um, is being influenced by the youth, and he doesn't like it at all. So, how does Mrs. Hutchinson feel before she is chosen? And before she's chosen, she's fine with it. In fact, when she first arrives, she's joking about it. All right. So, before Mrs. Hutchinson pulls the ticket, how do the townsfolk act towards one another? They're really nice to each other. It's like, 4th of July for them. Okay? Everybody's having a good time. All right. So, what point do you think that the author is making by portraying them like this? And the point seems to be that this could happen to anyone. Um, you can get caught up in this, and um, it's one of the things they say about the Nazis. How could people, join the Nazis and start World War II and then start killing all those people, and you sort of get sucked into it? They've done a couple of studies, and one was up at Yale, and give tell people that this is normal, and they follow along. People like to follow instructions, is what they found. So at this point in the story, did anybody figure out what was going on? So you can answer yourself. So were you surprised by the ending? And again, I'm thinking all the silence is you really haven't read it at all, but so this is sort of like Mockingjay. What's the name of that movie? Hunger Games. Same idea the story is, except for they stone the person to death. So that's the big surprise. This isn't a picnic and a nice little gathering. Uh, this is picking one person to kill. So, surprise, surprise. Um, so Mrs. Hutchinson, once she's picked, is no longer joking. She's very upset, but she thanks God it wasn't one of her daughters. Um, uh, the author is trying to make a point about people who tolerate injustice and uh, violence. And, I think it's very relevant to what's going on today with the Black Lives Matter movement. We have been tolerating what has been being done to these people for way too long. Nobody has stood up and said this is wrong. Um, so, what is the point of view of this story? It's a third person narrator in this story. Um, so, symbolism. There are symbols in here. Uh, for instance, the stoning is a symbol. Um, Stoning was used back in Jerusalem. It's a very ancient and barbaric way of killing somebody. Um, So Davy Hutchinson, the baby toddler son, her son, is given stones to put on top of his mother. My God. So the author's trying to show that, they're brainwashing even the kids. Even, they they it's okay to kill your mother. This is a way of life for them. So, the last question asked, do you think you would you speak up against this practice, or just stay like a little sheep in the background and not say anything? So, those are the questions for this story. Does that make sense? You all now know the story, right? Hello? So you good?